Hey everyone, today we're going to be doing a sort of a review and how-to of the Logan 2000 mat cutter. And the reason that I've had some experience with this is a couple weeks ago we decided to do some prints in our basement to decorate it a little bit, and we did 5 large prints and we took them to have them matted and get the quote on that. It was a couple $100. Since this is a basement, we didn't want to spend that kind of money. We thought, how can we do it cheaper ourselves? So we already had the frames. We got the glass cutter, the local glass cutter. So we just went and bought some mat board, and we had to cut it. You know, the mat board is cut at an angle, so you can't just do it with a razor blade. You're not going to get the look that you want. Did a little research and found out there is a mat cutter that you can buy. This one costs less than $30. It is probably the most economical one you can get, but you know what? It's well made and it works. So based on the fact that it does what it's supposed to do, I'd give it 5 out of 5 stars. The reason it's cheaper is that it's so simple, which means you're going to have to use your own straight edge. The Logan brand is probably the most well-known brand of mat cutters out there, but they go up into the hundreds of dollars if you get the ones with the built-in clamps and the built-in straight edges. So we simply use this with our own straight edge. I like to use a ruler straight edge with a cork backing on it. The cork backing is really nice because it keeps it from slipping. If you don't use something like this, and as a matter of fact, on some of the bigger ones, we had to use a 4-foot straight edge. We literally would tape it at one end and the other. So there's some things you can do. You just want to make sure it doesn't slip. But if you take a look at the pictures, you'll see they look pretty nice. If you look at them close up, I don't think you would know that they were done by hand. So we're real happy with the results, and actually real happy with this little tool that saved us a couple $100. So now we're going to show you how to use it and some things we learned while doing so. So this is the print we're going to be matting. It's something my son took when we were out in Colorado. It's a picture of an abandoned train we found, and he took a picture looking through the back of it. I like it. It shows some nice symmetry. Some clear focus on the subject itself, and a nice soft background, and some pretty cool colors. So if it's something you like, I'll put a link down in the description to where you can find his prints, and feel free to go check them out. Alright, so now we're going to talk about how to actually use the tool. It's very simple, but there were a few things I learned that made it a lot easier and might prevent you from wasting some mat material. Number one, I do suggest that you practice on at least one. So get a small scrap piece of mat material and give it a try, just to get a feel for what it's like. So I just got a simple frame and a print to be framed. And what I've done is put it on the backing material. Some frames will come with cardboard, some will come with foam board. Some you have to cut your own. And yes, I know that using painter's tape is not how you typically would fasten these, but for the purpose of this video, I think it'll be fine. And also, because it's going to be covered with a mat, we didn't need to worry about trimming the print to fit. So it's actually a print that my son did. He took that out in Colorado. We found some abandoned trains. I think it looks pretty nice. So we're going to see how it works. So use either the backing board or the glass out of the frame to cut your mat to size. So this is the raw mat. This is the side that's going to be showing. The back side is where we're going to be doing all the work. So the good side will be facing down. All right. And the way you can tell which is the good side and which isn't is the mats typically will have some print on the back. So you might be able to look for that. If the piece you cut out does not have it, I suggest you go ahead and make a mark on it so that you know, because if you're working with a white mat, it's sometimes hard to tell, but there is a slight difference in the color, and you do want to get that right. So what you do next, okay, so to figure out how to draw this, it's some very simple math. You subtract the height of the print from the height of the mat. In this case, it came out to 4.5 inches. You divide that by 2. I get 2 1/4. Now that would give, if you were to measure 2 1/4 inches down from the top and up from the bottom, you would get where the print would fall on the mat. What I typically do is add somewhere between 3/16 to 1/4 inch depending on how precise I'm being, to make sure I've got some overlap. On a small print, obviously you don't want to add a quarter because you'll be closing too much in on it. But on a bigger print, you can certainly add that much. Then you do the same thing for the width. Then you mark it up, just like that. All right. So once you have it cut, you want to put it on some sort of a backing so that you don't cut through it. We're on a ping pong table here, and when I was making the straight cuts on some of the bigger prints, I actually cut through the backing board and scratched my table a little bit. With the mat cutter, it doesn't go that deep if it's adjusted properly, so you won't have that kind of a problem. All right. Okay. All right. So the nice thing about the way this is made is the blade literally comes right to the edge because of the angle. So you'll be holding the straight edge directly on your line and literally touching the line, and that's where it's going to make the cut. The other thing is, on the back side of this, it has sort of a laser etching, and it tells you where to start and stop. That literally tells you where the blade is going to punch out on the other side here. So get your straight edge in place, make sure it's perfectly straight, and securely pushed down. And I like to keep a finger close to the to both edges, because as you go along, you don't want to push your way out of it. Then get it where that little mark is right on your line, and then you'll push down to make your cut. That makes the initial cut, and then start pushing forward. Now, one thing that's important here, you do want to keep it up against the straight edge to keep your line straight, but you don't want to push too hard against the straight edge. You want to make sure that the majority of your force is going down on the mat. That would keep you from pushing it out, which just like it's sliding a little bit there. And then stop it right on the line. Okay. Now, can't see it, but it should have cut through. So we'll see after we punch it out how it looks. Turn this 90 degrees and then make your next cut. So you put your straight edge right back on this line, right up against it, laser edge up against that, push it through and go forward. Just be sure to pay attention. You can't you have to slow down as you get close to the end here so that you don't go beyond this line. Alright, pop it out, turn it 90 degrees, and repeat. And if you're doing a lot of these, you'll find that you can sort of get an assembly line, or you can you'll get into a rhythm where you can cut these pretty quickly. And don't be surprised if this happened here, you mess up once or twice, because what happened in this one, I wasn't holding it down and it slipped under the mat. So not sure how noticeable it'll be, but it certainly is off the line a little bit. So just something you want to be careful of. Excuse me. And that is one of the reasons why you may see some 3- and 4-star reviews on this product. It's not a flaw. It's all in the usage. So you just have to be careful and know that sort of thing will happen. When I did the larger prints, I was using a thicker straight edge, and I didn't have that problem. So this is one you just have to be a little more careful with. Should be the last cut. Okay, let's see if it comes out. What you may find is you don't come all the way to the end. Work it a little bit to see. But you may want to come back and give it another little cut. In this case, because we drifted off a little bit, it didn't hit that corner, so we may have to give it another little cut here. Out. That's out. And there we go. And yes, you see a little bad spot here. We'll tear that off and see what happens. It may work out all right. And there we go. So not perfect, but it worked. And I think in most cases that would be just fine. Again, to be a little more precise, I'd probably take a little more care and hold down that straight edge. Alright, so I hope you found that useful. Some of the things I showed you are some of the things I wish I had known when I first did this. But I would highly recommend it, especially if you have a number of large prints to do. Custom made mats are very expensive. Now if you can buy them pre-cut, that's great, but if not, don't be afraid to give this a try. It's actually kind of fun when you get into the rhythm of it. I'm going to have links down in the body of this for where you can find these, as well as for my son's prints and anything else that I used in the video, including the ruler. So I hope you enjoyed it. If you like this, feel free to subscribe, like the video, and come back and see us again soon. Thank you.